In 6 days, we will make the selection with the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. But that's not the intrigue that we have right now. The intrigue is what happens with the number 9 selection. Now, I put a video out last night where I thought that the answer is pretty simple based on what you're hearing coming out of Hallis Hall right now. And all indications are that the radar starts with Roma Dunzi and moves on to Brock Bowers. And then from there, it starts to get a little murky and blurry. But I don't think that that matters because I don't think that either one of those guys are going to be gone with the number 9 selection. Now, in the event that you want to build an offensive line or you want to build a defensive line or something like that, does not appear to be on the Bears' radar. And there are specific reasons for that. Among them, the offensive line, despite having some early troubles last year, the troubles seem to have been a little bit of coaching and a little bit of Justin Fields. The rest of the line seemed to have been, it was definitely the number 1 rushing offensive line. So there's something positive going on there. And the defensive line, it's kind of the same story. Once Montez Sweat came in, it became a matter of coaching where the team either was or was not ready, but they were still the number 1 rushing defense. So it's very difficult to make a lot of wholesale changes to something that is number 1, even if you were the the number 25 passing defense. So you're going to stick with what you have right now. Appears to be the line that the Bears are holding. Does that mean that it won't change if Joe Alt becomes available at number 9? It probably doesn't matter, but it could be that potentially you're looking for that guy. There's also the potential of the Bears trading down the number 9 pick to move into a spot to take Graham Barton or to take an offensive center or to move down, gain some draft capital, and take somebody like a Jared Verse, who rates out almost as well as Dallas Turner, but Dallas Turner's getting the nod in terms of ranking places in most of the pre-draft analysis sheets. Also, Luatu Latu as well, getting the same. So you have some options, but it looks like the Bears most probably are going to look at Roma Dunzi at that number 9 selection. So we got a lot to go over here. And it's going to be Crimson has a point here. I'd be shocked if Ryan Poles, the former offensive lineman, passes on Joe Alt. And basically that's the different way of saying this is I would be more surprised with at the 9 pick he passes on Braxton Jones and throws him out the door or turns him into a leftover portion when he's already not only reinforced that line with capable backups and reinforced the center position, but that creates another conundrum for him with some trade position. And it's not the number 1 pick. Again, if it were not the number 1 pick and the Bears were not on the clock for Caleb Williams, Justin Fields would still be the quarterback. So I think that Ryan Poles likes what he has and likes where he is. And I think that his offensive lineman is Braxton Jones right now. I don't think that it's Joe Alt. So I think that Joe Alt is a great player, but I don't know that Ryan Poles agrees, or at least that's what appears to be being brandied about as we try to get any information that we can out of Hallis Hall. Now, NFL Insider did say yesterday that the Bears are interested, number 1, if they go. And by the way, there was an if included in this. And, I did lay out the available players for you so that we can, kind of look through and get an idea of what these players look like. So the point, though, is that the Bears do have options. Now, if Marvin Harrison Jones is not available, and there's no likelihood, in my opinion, that he will be, then the next man up would appear to be Roma Dunzi. And if that doesn't happen, then the prohibitive favorite after that becomes Brock Bowers. And that seems to be the way that the Bears are leading. However, there are a number of options that are available to Chicago on each one of these. For offense, for the skill positions, you've got Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunzi, and Brock Bowers. I put Marvin Harrison on the thumbnail because, it's Marvin Harrison. What are you going to do? But Malik Neighbors also probably not going to be available, but Roma Dunzi, Brock Bowers expected to be available also on the offensive line. We're talking about Joe Alt, Olu Fashanu, Troy Fatanu, Talise Fuaga, and J.C. Latham. And there is kind of a cluster F on this one where Joe Alt is considered the prohibitive favorite. However, Olu Fashanu, J.C. Latham have come up as the number 2 guys repeatedly. Troy Fatanu even came up on one as the prohibitive number 2 overall guy. The consensus does appear to be Joe Alt, but 4 of these guys potentially are going to be available. If you just consider that the Bears, with the first quarterback, will lead a quarterback barrage, leading to 4 quarterbacks being taken probably in those first 8 picks, leaving only 4 other selections. One of them going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., the other one going to be Malik Neighbors. So only two other of the people on this list are going to be coming off of this list by the time we get to that selection. So the Bears are going to have a lot of options. Again, on the line, you've got Joe Alt, you got Olu Fashanu, Troy Fatanu, Talise Fuaga, and J.C. Latham. And then for defenders, and I eliminated safeties. I eliminated Terrion Arnold, cornerback. I eliminated the linebacker position, and we just focused on what the Bears really need, which is line. Dallas Turner checks in as the number 1 overall guy, also most likely available at that number 9 position. Latu, Jared Verse, Chop Robinson, and Byron Murphy. Now, I did not intend to put Byron Murphy on this list, and in fact, as I was doing this, I was going to put the 3 options for Chicago, and then I was going to put 3 players for 3 options, and then I really started to look at it, and I thought, J.C. Latham, I get a sense here. He just visited, so I got the sense that maybe that J.C. Latham might be one of those guys that you're going to that you're going to drop down for, or as a defender, perhaps you're going to drop down for a Jared Verse. And then I got to that point, I was like, well, you know what? If I'm going to do that, if I'm going to reach, why not just drop down for Byron Murphy if I really covet or value him. So then I ended up putting him on the list. I don't think that he's a viable option. I think that there are plenty of vanity options. There are plenty of people here who improve this team dramatically. Joe Alt probably is a better prospect than Braxton Jones. Olu Fashanu, probably a better prospect than Braxton Jones. Unfortunately, or fortunately for, I think, Braxton Jones, he's showed consistent and steady improvement and got better and better and better, and still shows tremendous upside to this team and management. And that appears to be enough at this moment. Could we say that for sure? No. If Joe Alt shows up at the 9 position, I would be surprised if we took him instead of Roma Dunzi, because that would kind of go against the offensive weapons, which we appear to be looking to make sure that Caleb Williams is going to have for the next couple of years. Because if he does not, then what we are going to do, the simplest answer to that is we're going to repeat the same cycle that we've repeated over and over and over again. We draft a number 1 quarterback and we do not give him enough talent around for him to make that transition to the NFL and to have a successful start to his career. And then in 4 years, or maybe even 3 years in Justin Fields' case, here we are looking for another number 1 draft pick at quarterback. So I would think that there's probably some truth to the rumors that they're looking to shore up that offense and make it an absolute weapon. That I think that they understand that they need to do something to make sure that there is plenty of talent around Caleb Williams. And I want to stress that I don't think that the Chicago Bears line was as bad as it behaved last year for Justin Fields. I think that Justin Fields gave up too many sacks that he didn't have to give up because he did not release the ball well enough. And those stats go on the offensive lineman. And then those guys are the ones that are blamed for allowing that person to get in. But again, if you take 3.5 seconds to make a throw that most people By the way, I went back and I checked Mahomes' stats. Mahomes' stats at one point were about 3.1 seconds in a specific range. But when you look at his time to throw last season compared to Justin Fields, 2.45 seconds versus 3.23. He was processing at a rate of almost a second faster than Justin Fields at getting rid of the ball and distributing it to his playmakers. So, if you consider the quarterback is responsible for that lack of for the lack of getting the ball out. He's not frustrating defenses. Defenses are looking at Justin Fields, seeing he's not going to make that move, and doesn't go well. So that begs the next question. Um, is the offensive line to blame for that? I mean, you can't hold everybody off forever, even if you want to. And it's easy to cast blame, especially when we like Justin Fields. But I mean, we should at least be able to admit at this point that Justin Fields was a problem, not the problem, but he was a problem for this team. So now we're moving forward. And as we move forward, maybe it's time to give this defense and give this offense the chance that they really didn't get with the quarterback play being what it was last year. And that's all I'm saying. I think that I think that the Bears are going to focus on skill. They're going to focus on the skill positions right now. So it would be my expectation that Rome Odunze is the prohibitive number 9. Brock Bowers coming right after that. I can't shake that this morning. I'm not even tired, but I can't stop yawning. I think there's an oxygen discrepancy here in this room. This studio is so. I think that there's an issue here, and the issue is skill players, and I think that that's what they're going to address. Rome Odunze and Brock Bowers. Now, that does not mean that I'm right. It just means that that's my opinion based on the information that seems to be coming out lately. However, all of the information, just like all of this other stuff, it's always manipulated. Today, this was based on, by the way, a report that came out that said the Bears were choosing between Rome Odunze and Brock Bowers. Now, was that true? Well, if you dig into the article, it was a gotcha headline. The article actually said that an insider for the Bears said in the event the Bears were going with the offensive skill players, then Rome Odunze is their number 1 guy, and then Brock Bowers is number 2. However, there is also there's also the issue of well, they did add Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift, but they also added Matt Pryor. They added Ryan Bates. They added Coleman Shelton. I mean, they shored up their line already. That they put that they put that in position already. And again, I think that they like who they have on that line, and they're just backing people up with that. This is what they want to run with, in my opinion. But I think this is what they want to run with. And I don't know which one is going to be right. I just think that that's what they're going with right now. So I do believe that this is a skill position thing, because in that article, again, it just said that. But here's the thing. Tomorrow, we might get another one that says, in the event that the Bears pick a defender, then their list is going to start at Dallas Turner, and then it's going to go to Jared Verse, and then it's going to go to Latu, and then it's going to go to Chop Robinson, or then it's going to go to Byron Murphy, and then it's going to go to Chop Robinson. I think they'll do the same thing and kind of, I think they're going to kind of pull that out and put that into the next article that says, well, the Bears are definitely taking Dallas Turner. And then, maybe a day later, as we get up to the draft, they're going to say, well, in the event that they were to go with an offensive lineman, then the number 1 offensive lineman is going to be Joe Alt. You know what I mean? So I think that they're probably gonna hedge a little bit. So these are the available guys. I think that number 1 is going to be Rome Odunze and then Brock Bowers. I think that makes the most sense because of the situation that they're in, because of not the situation that you want them to be in or I want them to be in, but the situation that they are in. I think that means that they're going to take that skill position because you got Braxton Jones a little bit longer. You don't have Keenan Allen past a year, and you can't just keep throwing the ball to your running back. That doesn't work in the NFL. So you got to have more receivers. We do not have a depth of wide receivers. Our 4 wide receivers last year. As a matter of fact, I actually have that list. In 2022, this is what the team looked like. Justin Fields at quarterback, Khalil Herbert at running back, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Tyler Scott, and Cole Kmet. So the potential Bears starting lineup heading into 2024, according to NFL rumors: Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Tyler Scott, and Cole Kmet. And to be fair, I look at Tyler Scott and I say, well, man, we need to get better at that position because we still need more weapons, right? If we go into this with Tyler Scott and Colin Johnson, we're still weak if Keenan Allen has to take a few plays off. We're still weak if DJ Moore and Keenan Allen get injured. We need more in that area. I think that we survive with Matt Pryor at left tackle. I think we survive with even Larry Borum at that position at this point. Yeah, I think we survive the line, but we don't survive if there's nobody to throw the ball to. So injuries, we need to be deeper on the wide receivers, and we're not. No matter how you look at it, Tyler Scott makes a leap. Okay, good, but we've already seen limited upside from him so far. Could be because of Justin Fields. Might be that he's incredibly skilled, and we found we found gold in Tyler Scott, but we haven't mined it and polished it up, if you will, because of quarterback play. So there is that possibility, but this is what the lineup looks like, vastly different than what it looked like last year. So again, I'm going to say I think that they're going to go with the skill position. Now, that's my opinion. Draft analysts, this is what everybody thinks is going to happen. Brad Biggs at the Chicago Tribune says Bears are going to trade down to number 11 and take Washington tackle Troy Fautanu. The Bears could be leaning offense on their second pick after Caleb Williams, and that means a choice between a receiver and protection for the quarterback. Fautanu is athletic and moves well and could step in as a day one starter at left tackle. Will Brinson says that from CBS Sports says that the Bears are likely to take Washington wide receiver Rome Odunze. It makes sense to pair Williams with a young wideout. Williams and Odunze as a first-day haul will generate Boffo ratings for the Bears. Dane Brugler of The Athletic says the number 9 pick is going to be Washington receiver Rome Odunze. With only 4 picks in this draft, general manager will be enticed to trade back opportunities here to recoup draft capital. But when the Bears are feeling left out in the second round, they can throw on Odunze highlights and feel just fine about this decision. Jared Dubin from CBS Sports says Washington receiver Rome Odunze dropping Caleb Williams into a situation where his top 3 receivers are DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Odunze is one of the most enviable situations imaginable. If Odunze makes it to this pick, the Bears can't get to the podium quickly enough. Nathan Johnke of Pro Football Focus says the number 9 pick is going to be the Bears trading up to number 6 and taking LSU receiver Malik Nabers. The Bears have the fewest picks in this draft, but that hasn't stopped rumors of Chicago trading up. New offensive coordinator is used to having 3 strong wide receiver options during his time with the Rams and with the Seattle Seahawks, and a trade for Nabers could give him his best wide receiver trio yet. So there's that move. Now, the Tyler Fornes says that the Bears are going to move down to 14 and take Texas wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. The Bears missed out on the top 3 receivers, so they get the 4th best guy in a trade back. Mitchell is a true X receiver who can thrive in a vertical role. With Keenan and DJ Moore playing the Z and slot, Mitchell can also be a big receiver they use as a vertical threat. Ryan Fowler of Draft Network says Washington receiver Rome Odunze. Sean Hammond of Shaw Local Network says wide receiver Washington receiver Rome Odunze. Vinny Iyer from the Sporting News says Penn State tackle Olu Fashanu. Michael Middlehurst Schwartz of USA Today predicts that they will take Florida State defensive end Jared Verse. Salvion Mixon of the Sporting News agrees and says Florida State defensive end Jared Verse. Marcus Mosher of 33rd says the Bears are going to trade down to 13 and take Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy. Pete Schrager of NFL.com says the Bears will trade down to 15 and take J.C. Latham. Chris Trapasso says that they're going to trade, they're going to take Jared Verse. Nikki Wright with Fox Sports says the Bears are going to trade up to the number 5 and take Marvin Harrison Jr. Nick Wright, by the way, we did cover that draft the other day. So most of these guys are taking either Jared Verse or Roma Dunzi. We had one pick for Olu Fashanu, one for Troy Fatanu, one for a trade up for Malik Neighbors, one for Adonai Mitchell, and then Byron Murphy, a J.C. Latham trade down, both of those trade downs. So if they're staying in this position, it's unanimous almost that it's going to be Roma Dunzi. But that's, again, we're all just speculating and we're all just guessing. So that leads us to heard it on the X, and happy birthday to Jaylen Johnson, number 1 in our hearts and number 1 on the field now. Jaylen Johnson is 1 year older. So 25 years old, $17 million a year contract for 4 years, an opportunity when he's 29 to go back out there in free agency and really knock down one of those big time deals. So shout out to Jaylen Johnson and happy birthday. Also, we just showed you this is what the field looks like coming into next year, assuming that we pick Roma Dunzi. You may not see him, but you will see a vastly different offense coming out and playing for the Chicago Bears. And one of the big questions is, does Caleb Williams start the season off as your number 1 guy? Does he become that one? Also, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. I appreciate that. Pushes me up in the algorithm. And then the last piece to this is no changes in any of this right here. This is what I did in my first draft of the day. I did 2 drafts today. I wanted to do something different with each one of them and see how they shook out, because we don't want to get the same thing every time. So in the first draft, I took Caleb Williams, Roma Dunzi, Chris Jenkins, and Brandon Coleman with absolutely no moves, absolutely no changes. And then I did the exact same thing one more time. And here we are. Caleb Williams, I took Roma Dunzi again. At number 75, this time around, came Cedric Van Pranger, Pran Granger. And then on the 122, I took Brendan Rice. Now, not really a spot for Brendan Rice, but I assume, again, for moving on from Keenan Allen after 1 year, which I have every reason to think that that's just a 1 year rental at this point, then Roma Dunzi and somebody else that he's familiar with a Brendan Rice that could potentially be in that cut. And by the way, I wasn't thinking about adding anything in that lower realm, because I know that we have a first rounder and 2 second rounders coming in next year. So, and by the way, again, no matter how many times you say it, the wide receiver room is bare. So, Brendan Rice, probably an upgrade from Tyler Scott. Roma Dunzi, certainly an upgrade over Colin Johnson or Tyler Scott. I think that this is a tremendous upgrade for that room. And this is 4 years of Caleb Williams working with Roma Dunzi and Jerry Rice's son, along with DJ Moore. And I think that that probably works out to be a fantastic opportunity. And this is the moment where you have to go in. If you want this guy to be successful, you have to give him the tools to make him successful. So that's what I did. And that's what I think is going to happen here. I think that Roma Dunzi is locked in. I think that they're ready for this big move. They drafted Scott and DJ last year. Well, they got DJ out of free agency, but yeah, I mean, they got him last year. Keenan Allen and Dante Pettis this year. I don't expect them to add 2 wide receivers in there, and that might not be the case. However, it's too interesting to me to grab Brendan Rice at that 122 and bring in somebody that Caleb Williams is familiar with and put them on the team. So, and again, like, even if and by the way, Dante Pettis, we don't even know if Dante Pettis is going to be and remember, Colin Johnson is not on the he's on the squad. He's on the practice team. So he's not even active. We don't have enough wide receivers active at this point. So and if you go beyond Dante Pettis, again, What if somebody gets injured? Then there's nobody there to relieve that person. Like, we do not have a deep enough wide receiver room at this point. So it would make perfect sense to take 2 wide receivers out of this. It's not preferred. I'm not saying that it's a preferable option, and we're just having fun. So Roma Dunzi for sure. And then I wanted to get Brendan Rice because that's Caleb's boy from USC. So that was just an idea to have. Anyway, that's my time, guys. I'm getting out of here, going out of town for the weekend. So this is going to be a little more abbreviated of a show. And then I will see you guys on Monday. Until then, bear down. We're going to be live for the draft next week. So we're 6 days out. Bear down.